before the bandana run?
I don't remember if I went in the same chair.
Okay, that day, was there anything that Terry showed you or demonstrated that showed that he was impaired in any way that day?
No.
Okay. Was he bumping into anything?
No.
Was he falling over?
No.
Any other ski problems that day?
No.
Now, to the point where there was a collision, okay, how far down from the top of the lift were you, roughly?
Well, the collision happened probably, I'm guessing, maybe 200-300 yards down, about 35-40 feet.
Okay, now, just to show, I know, Your Honor, not that Gray's a good judge of distance. Okay, I'm going to hand you a construction, what do you call this? Tape measure. There you go. I'm going to let you hold this, and I want you to tell the jury when I get out here how far away this door is back here. Okay. And we're measuring from the witness chair. Now, Mr. Ramon, see where I was standing with that door back there?
Yes.
And you had the end that showed the measurement, right?
Yes.
43 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury if that's about the distance it was away from the point of impact.
Yes, that's about right.
And parallel skiing.
No.
All right. Tell the jury, if you would, what you saw and heard that day at approximately 11:45 a.m. on February 26, 2016. Tell them what you saw.
Well, we were skiing down the bend, down the run, and then I heard this yell, this scream, and then I looked over, and then about maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then I heard the scream, and then I see this Terry, and she just slammed him.
How hard?
Very hard. Very hard. And so Terry, she hits him right directly in the back, and so then his skis are like, when you're skiing like this. His skis actually, the tips go out like this, and he falls face down. So he's kind of spread eagle.
Now, at the time, you didn't know it was Gwyneth, did you?
No.
Found that out later.
Yes.
So the skier that hit him from behind hit him hard.
Yes.
And Terry goes down. Does he stop abruptly?
Yes.
Okay. And how loud was the scream?
It was loud.
How much time elapsed between the time you heard the scream and saw the collision?
About a.
To tell the jury. And by the way, describe. Excuse me for the cough. What happened to the two bodies after you saw the collision? Briefly.
So the two bodies. So Terry stops, and then Gwyneth kind of slides down about 5 or 10.
On top of him or the side or what?
No, she bounced off the top of him, and then she slid down to the right side, and she slid down about 5 or 10 feet, and so here's basically downhill Terry's here, and Gwyneth's right here.
What did you do?
I skied down, and then I went on to the left side of Terry.
Were you uphill or downhill from Terry?
I was uphill.
Uphill.
Well, I was downhill. I was about equal with Gwyneth, and so Terry was when Terry went down, Gwyneth slid to the down 5 or 10 feet, and I came to the other side, and then I skied down and I was down about 5 or 10 feet, and so Gwyneth and I were basically, when she got up, we were facing each other.
How far away?
Maybe 10 feet.
Okay. Now, how long did it take you to get over there to that scene?
Oh, just a second or two.
Okay. All right. And aside from Gwyneth, we now know it was Gwyneth, didn't know at the time, and Terry, was there anybody else at the scene when you arrived? Anybody else at all?
No.
Okay. What did you do when you got to the scene? Tell the jury.
Well, when I got there, I just was asking Terry, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And Terry, he wasn't moving. His face was actually in the snow, and his arms were out like this, and and so I'm asking him, and then Gwyneth gets up, and then I'm asking her, "Are you okay?" And then from there.
Let me stop you there for a second. From there, at that time, did Gwyneth Paltrow, we now know it was her, anything at all, utter any word?
And then I asked her again.
Was she standing up or down on the ground?
She was standing up. She got up pretty quick. No.
The entire time she was there, 4 minutes or so, whatever it was.
Never said it.
Did she say anything, any words come out of her mouth?
No.
What did Terry say, if anything?
He wasn't talking. I mean, he didn't even start moving for probably a couple of minutes.
Was he unresponsive or was he responsive?
No, he was unresponsive.
Okay. Now, a few seconds after you got there, did someone else arrive, and who?
Yeah, it's Eric. He showed up.
Eric Christensen.
Yes.
Spelled Christiansen, but he says Christensen, right?
I'm not sure.
You don't know. Okay. Now, did Mr. Christensen ever introduce himself to you?
No.
You didn't know his name?
No.
Tell the jury how he was dressed.
He had a green Deer Valley coat on, so he was an employee.
Tell the jury then.
And Terry's not moving. He's just, and he keeps saying, "What did you do?" And so it got, and he was yelling when he came down, but then it just kept getting worse and worse. Kept getting higher and higher, and it's like, "What did you do?" And so I was
now, before you go any further,
okay.
Describe for the jury the level of.
He was just yelling, and he was yelling to the point where I was thinking, I didn't say anything, but I was thinking to myself, man, you need to mellow out here. And so I got to the point where I was tired of it. I was concerned about Terry. Terry's not moving, and so then I ended up. He was down a little bit lower than I was, so I just moved a few feet. So he was looking, so be yelling right at me, and then when I did that, he stopped yelling at him.
Did the level of hostility concern you as a person?
Yes.
Explain why.
Well, Terry was out. I mean, he was, and I was concerned about, if Terry was, what was wrong with Terry. I was concerned about, if Terry was, what was wrong with Terry, and I just was, I didn't know how bad he was hurt. I didn't, and when he was yelling, I was just, it just made me just, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know, just the way he was yelling. But I was very concerned about Terry.
But when you stayed in between them, he calmed down.
Yes, he stopped talking totally.
Okay. Tell us what else Christensen said in that sequence.
So that's direct hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained?
Okay. Did you at some point did you learn the name of the skier that hit Terry?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you learn that name?
Well, she and then she
How
kind
far?
from where she was standing, she probably went down about 15, 20 feet.
Okay.
And
Stop.
And she came around and stopped, and then Eric said,
What did Christensen
Your
say?
Honor, let's make sure the witness is testifying and not the lawyer.
I'll rephrase.
What's the question?
Yeah. And I'm talking about a res gestae event here. What did you hear at that scene at that time?
he told me that Gwyneth Paltrow.
This is res gestae, Judge.
Overruled?
Thank you.
Yeah, Eric told me that Gwyneth Paltrow took out Terry.
Gwyneth Paltrow took out Terry.
Yes.
Okay. Was he accusing Terry of taking out Gwyneth Paltrow too?
No.
Okay. All right. Did left the scene? Okay. Did she offer her name?
No.
Okay. Did she offer any contact information?
No.
Did she offer buying information?
No.
Did she ask if Terry was okay?
No.
Did she ask if Terry was hurt?
No.
Did she ask if anyone needed any kind of help?
No.
Did she ask if she could leave the scene?
No.
Okay. Now, you said she skied down a little bit. Tell the jury what happened then. After she skied down the hill 20 feet or so, like you said, what happened then?
Yes. Yeah. So that's that. So she stopped, and then that's when I backed up, and I backed up, and that's when I backed up and was going to go down and check on her, and then she just bolts and just takes off. And
Where did she go?
There was just went straight down, and there was a guy and a kid that was, I believe, was with Gwyneth, and they actually stopped about 20-25 feet above us. The kid actually comes down, and then he goes on the right side of Terry, and then the guy, he came on the left side of Terry, and he skied right next to me, and he's looking at me, just goes real slow, and he's looking me in the eye.
This is the adult or the kid?
The adult,
okay.
the adult comes by and gives me and just give me this really dirty look, and I was like, I don't know, why you give me a dirty look? And he just slowly just skied by me, and then they both took off right after Gwyneth. Did
the mountain host, Mr. Christensen, ever tell you that he saw what happened? He saw the impact. Did he ever tell you that?
No, I asked him, but no, he did not.
Let me show you Exhibit 3. These are all...
I mean, you can hand it to the witness, but not show it to the jury until it gets admitted.
Okay. Well, let me pull it out. This is the one showed to the jury during opening statement by Mr. Holmes.
That's, if that was the one. It's the one you showed during opening statement, the report?
Sure, of course.
Okay, is that Defense Exhibit 3, Mr. Sykes?
I believe so.
Okay, Defense Exhibit 3 is received.
Well, it's Plaintiff's Exhibit 3.
Plaintiff's Exhibit 3 is
You
received.
might have had a different number, but it's the same exhibit. Okay, now, I don't know... can I have my pointer? I use my pen as a pointer. I don't know if you can read this. It's a little hard to read. You want to step down here and to look at it? Do you mind if I bend this forward? Stand up with there. See that date over there? 2:26?
Yes.
You see the time?
Yes.
Is that about the right time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Describe how the accident occurred. Can you read that? Or do I read it for you?
Yeah. Just can you read it for me?
Okay. That should work, shouldn't it? Okay. I don't know if you can. What does that say?
Can you
I didn't
hear
see
Mr.
it.
Sykes? Can you hear him?
Check down here.
No.
Did you witness the accident? What does he say right here?
No.
Okay, go ahead and do some receipt. He didn't see it too.
Yes.
Okay. Now, look at this. I'll ask you, I'm going to read this too because it's kind of hard to read. under additional comments, first thing, male Ski stated was that she appeared I can't read that. She appeared. Can anybody read that? The word here? Right, there you go. Thank you. You're right. Okay, I'll read that again. Excuse me. Okay. First thing, the male skier is Terry Sanderson, right?
Okay. Yes, no skier. Yes.
Did you ever hear?
This has been misread. If we're going to read it, let's read it.
Go ahead, Mr. Sykes.
I'll read it again. First thing male skier stated was that she appeared right in front of him. Okay? I.e., Terry Sanderson ever say anything like is reported here?
No.
Okay? And then he says, thus admitting that he was the uphill skier. See that? Did Terry Sanderson ever say he was the uphill skier?
No, he did not.
Who was the uphill skier from what you saw?
Gwyneth was.
Okay. She never saw him because he came in from behind. Is that an accurate statement?
No.
I think that goes to the credibility of the statement.
I think it's okay as a preface in his question.
No. Some that Miss Paltrow, how long she was there?
She was there for probably 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. How long was the mountain host there?
Probably about 7, 8 minutes.
Okay. Now let me ask you about Mr. Christensen. If any of these things happened. Did Mr. your names?
No.
Did he offer any contact information for Gwyneth Paltrow?
No.
Did he ask for your contact information?
No.
Did he ask if Terry Sanderson was okay?
No.
Did he ask if Terry Sanderson was hurt?
No.
Did he ask if anybody needed help?
No.
Did he offer assistance?
No.
Did he offer to call ski patrol?
No.
Okay? Now, let me ask you, did he ask if it was okay for Ms. Paltrow to leave the scene without giving her contact information?
No.
Now, there was a mention in the opening statement. You weren't in the courtroom. But I represent to you that Mr. Owens said that another Deer Valley person came by during the whole sequence. Now, did another Deer Valley person come by while you were there?
No, I never saw him.
Okay. Now, what happened after the screaming was over? What did people do? Not Ms. Paltrow, but Christensen and Terry.
Well, so Terry finally started back, and so he ended up lifting his right ski up, I believe, and then moving it to the other side so his skis would be parallel. And if I would have been thinking straight, I would have taken, but I didn't, and I just wasn't thinking. Just wasn't thinking. And so then he gets his skis, so his head's face downhill, but his skis are still up, or his face is downhill and his skis are uphill. And so then he slowly is just trying to move around and get his skis so they're downhill, so that way, he can get up.
Okay. Describe for the jury at this point in time, when you're what you've just described. Describe Terry's mentation. That's a bad word. Describe Terry's conduct and speech.
Well, when he finally started to kind of move around a little bit, the first thing he started to talk about was he just says my ribs. He was just complaining about his ribs, and that's pretty much all he was saying.
Was he able to have a conversation, really?
No, he couldn't even talk.
Did he apologize to Ms. Paltrow like has been represented?
No.
Okay. To say he was okay.
Terry Sanderson never said anything.
Okay. What other things can you describe about Terry's condition at that moment during that sequence? Anything else?
He just looked just totally out of it. He just looked like phased. He looked like he was in a lot of pain.
Was he making any sense?
No.
How about his mental status, mental acuity?
He was just out of it.
Now, at some point, did Mr. Christensen leave the scene?
Yes.
Okay. Now, tell the jury, excuse me, what happened then? Mr. Christensen's gone, he skis off. What happens then?
Well, before he left, Eric pulled Terry up, and then once Terry was on his feet,
How did he pull him up?
he went. Terry's skis were downhill, and so he went and he put his skis next to Terry's, and so his skis couldn't slide. And then he grabbed his hand and yanked him up. And then once he was on his feet, then Eric just took off. He bolted.
A back injury or a neck injury before he grabbed his hands and pulled him up?
No.
Okay, so you're standing there on the hill, bandana, alone with Terry Sanderson, correct?
Yes.
Tell the jury what happened then.
Well, so we're standing there, and I'm talking to Terry, and he's still not. He's still out of it, and I'm at that point I stopped asking him if he's okay because he just wasn't okay, and so then I figured, just let's just get down the hill. I didn't say that to him. I'm just thinking, it's an easy run. Let's just get down to the bottom of the hill, and we'll deal with it then. And so then we start going down the hill, and he's really having a hard time going down the hill. And I mean, he's snow plowing, and he's bent over, and he looks like he's in a lot of pain, and he's just bent over with he's snow plowing. And so we get down, and I'm talking to Terry, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he's saying nothing. And so we go around this bend, and then I'm like, "Terry, let's stop." And so he ends up pulling over to the right side, and then I came next to him. I was like, "Terry," I didn't say Terry. I said, "Do you know your name?" And he goes, "Terry," and I'm like, "This isn't good."
How long did it take him to get the name out?
I'd try to say 4 or 5 seconds. Okay. And so then I said, "Do you know where you are?" And he just shook his head and just like, "No." And so then at that point we were on the right side as deer or green coat was on the other side, and so I waved my ski pole, and the guy came over, and I told him, I asked him, "Do you have a cell phone?" And I said because he's got a head injury.
You use that word?
Yes.
Why?
He just was out of it, and he just didn't know his name, didn't know where he was at.
So he didn't know he was at Deer Valley.
No.
Okay. Continue.
And so then he gets on the deer or whatever he had, and then he calls the ski patrol, and then the ski patrol comes down. The ski patrol came pretty quick. They were there within. One ski patrol came down, and it was a female, and she brought a toboggan down.
Toboggan.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I assume most people know what that is, but just in case, describe it. What's a toboggan?
A toboggan, it's like a sled, and it's just a sled that people can get in, and then they have handles where somebody that's hurt can land in it, and then the ski patrol can take them down to the bottom.
Okay. Do you know if that person's name was Whitney Smith? Do you know that one way or the other?
I heard that later.
Later? Okay.
Yes.
Whitney Smith. Hey, now describe Terry's emotional state at this point when she shows up and talks to him for a few minutes. What did he look like? What did he appear to be like?
Well, he looked, it really frightened him, and I think because he didn't know what was going on, and then all of a sudden the ski patrol comes down with the toboggan, and he's just frightened.
Your Honor, there's several speculation comments there where Terry's going to testify himself. He's
Yeah, just a second. As to relevance or first?
It was me, Terry, and the ski patrol, and the ski patrol's trying to talk to Terry, just frightened, and he's looking at me like help me, and I just at that point, and so I just figured, you know what, I just got to get away from here, and so at that point I ended up going up the next to the Deer Valley employee, because the Deer Valley employee was waving people off because we can't. And so I went up, and it was right next to the employee, and so there was two of us that were kind of blocking skiers from coming around. And then so she gets Terry in the toboggan, and then takes Terry down.
Okay, now skip ahead. Did you ski behind them, or what did you do?
Well, after the ski patrol came, I ended up calling Kurt, and he's the guy who was in charge of this meetup group, and I told him what had happened, and so because they were down already, and so they went and jumped and got on the ski lift and went up, and so they when the patrol went down, and then the mountain host, he thanked me. He says, thanks. And then he went down, and I saw Terry's friend come flying by me, and so I knew that Joanne would be right behind, because Joanne's not that fast of a skier, and so I just waited.
Joanne Mattis, Mattes.
Yes, Joanne Mattis. And so I waited for her, and then she came down, and I explained to her what had happened, and then after that we slowly skied down.
Did you end up at the first aid station?
Yes.
Okay, tell the jury what happened at the first aid station at the Empire Lodge at Deer Valley that day.
Yeah, and so we ended up going down there, and everybody was down there, and Terry was talking to a nurse, I believe it was a nurse, and then Kurt, he wanted me to go up the hill with him and go skiing. I just didn't really want to go, and so then about a half or 20 to 30 minutes went by, and there was really nothing I can do. And Terry was talking to the nurse and whatnot, and so I actually ended up going up and did a couple runs. The guy that was in the group, and then I came back down to check on Terry, and then Kurt.
Tell the jury your observations of Terry's condition before you left.
He still wasn't coherent. He out and evaluating him.
Yeah. Did you hear the word concussion mentioned?
Later on, the nurse told me they thought that I was going to be taken.
Okay. What was, in your opinion, what was he making any pain? Was he fully coherent?
No.
Okay. What were the plans made to get Terry home?
Well, the lady that he was skiing with, she was going to go down to get the vehicle, and to get to the vehicle, it's on the other side of the resort, and it takes a little while to get there because you have to go up a couple lifts, and so she was gone for quite. I was actually probably going to go and take Terry down, and the nurse actually told me, she says if he starts throwing up, take him directly to the ER because he's got a concussion.
Okay. Now, you then let Terry take him home, right?
Well, I think I believe later that Terry's friend, I believe, well, Terry's okay, and that he had everything taken care of.
Okay.
And so then,
As far as getting home?
yes, and so
That's
yes.
leading, Your Honor. I don't like comments on that.
Sustained?
Okay. What was the context of okay? What was the context where he said everything's okay?
Yeah. He said, because we were talking about taking him down.
Yeah.
And then they said that everything was handled, and so he was.
Okay.
They didn't need me to take him down.
Now, let me just skip ahead. For February 26, 2016. Okay. When's the next time you actually saw Terry face to face?
That summer, it was probably 6 months later. I'm guessing June, July. We went down to the Cotton Bottom.
Is that like a club, a beer joint? What is it?
Yeah, it's just a beer place, and they're known for their garlic burgers.
Garlic burgers.
Yes.
Okay. Heavy in the garlic or light in the garlic?
Pardon me?
And so, how long were you there with him?
Oh, probably maybe an hour or two.
Okay.
That was probably a couple weeks later, because Joanne really likes Terry, and we used to go down to went down there with him. She had her feelings were kind of hurt, and so we ended up going down. So the three of us went down.
Do you know Terry well enough to tell the jury what changes might have occurred in Terry after that accident?
I don't know him well enough.
Okay. You didn't know him well enough, right?
No, and in these meetup groups, you'll have a bunch of people that are just there, and so they're there to ski, and they do chat, like going up the lift and stuff like that. But I've only met Terry once one-on-one. All the other times we're in a meetup group.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. You know that? Oh, here's something. Two questions. Were you in any kind of a trough or a dip on the hill where you couldn't see the impact? That wasn't filled out by you, was it?
No.
That was filled out by Eric.
I guess. Yes.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Owens?
I'll be a while. Do we want a break, or do you want to?
What do we take a short restroom break? Take about 5-10 minutes. Ready for the jury? No. No. We do that.
Or just the AC go up.
That would be better.
It's this shoulder season between winter and summer that's the most difficult to manage in this building.
The sheriff's open all the doors. Just let the cold air in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let them know that
We're ready for the jury.
I'm good. Okay. Thank you.
Is there any, am I allowed to pivot this slightly?
No, I think they're fine. No, a couple weeks ago I was told absolutely not. Fires up there. I thought it was you. There's someone that said Bridget.
Can I move for admission of 102, defense 102? Or do we need to do this when the jury's present?
I'll just get ready.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sykes. Due to the temperature in here, the lawyers have asked for permission, and I've granted it so that they don't have to wear their jackets. So if things look a little informal or we're loosening our top button, that's why. Thank you. The jury can have a jacket or loosen a collar. Looks like you look fairly comfortable already, but if you need to, please feel free.
Mr. Ramon, Steve Owens, we've met before, correct?
Yes.
In fact, I took a long deposition of you and a long statement several years ago. True?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It encompassed about 300 pages of transcript. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you once, in that deposition, say that Eric Christensen told you that Gwyneth took Terry out?
No, what I meant to say, I get dyslexic when I get nervous. No, he said that your buddy just took out Gwyneth.
All right, I was a little confused by some of the questioning. Okay, so Christensen always said your buddy took out. Did you correct him?
No.
Wouldn't that be the perfect time to say, you are incorrect, sir?
I wasn't. He was, and I didn't want to get into an argument with him. I didn't want to even.
You had.
Your Honor, may he finish his name, please?
Did you finish?
Yeah, I didn't want to have a conversation with him.
So there's the Deer Valley representative, true?
Yes.
And he's told you what he believes happened, true?
Yes.
And you didn't say a word.
No.
But you're saying it now, right?
Saying what?
That Gwyneth took out your buddy, not the other way around.
And Gwyneth Terry, what Eric said was your buddy took out Gwyneth. That's what he said. I never said that Terry took out Gwyneth. No.
Defense 87 moved to admit.
Any objection?
What is it? Just give us a second.
Yes. I did give you this binder yesterday, but it's
Just that one on the right?
left.
Left, okay, no objection.
Defense Exhibit 87 is received.
And Peter, you need to know so we can make sure where everything is admitted. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I didn't address this yet, James. Do you mind if I do that? Do you record for Terry a little video of you explaining to Terry what had happened.
Yeah, Lawrence.
Same day. I'm talking
The same.
same day.
The same day as which day?
Same day as the collision.
No, there was no video.
Did you see that Terry, I should keep saying Mr. Sanderson, so I mean no disrespect to Mr. Sanderson. Mr. Sanderson recorded something from his friend and sent it to his daughter. It's 102. Do you know what he's talking about there?
I have no idea.
You were his friend that was there and claimed to be an eyewitness, true?
Yes.
You're the only one.
Yes. I don't know. I believe so.
There wasn't another, I should say, you were the only friend there in terms of prior knowledge of Terry Sanderson, true?
Of prior knowledge.
At the collision site. I mean, Gwyneth didn't know him. Christensen didn't know him.
No.
Moses didn't know him. Right?
Yes, I was the only one that knew him.
So something Terry Sanderson sent to his daughters said, "I'm famous." And just so you know, we do have an expert, a defense finder for the witness, and maybe you could try. Okay.
I object. There's no foundation for him to say, or Senator didn't say. There's no foundation.
Yeah. Like overruled, I'd like to hear the question.
This is so you don't have to crank your neck. Do you know whether Terry Sanderson sent to his daughters something from you?
No, I don't know anything about any videos.
Here's what happened from my friend and eyewitness. And then something. You don't know what that is.
No, I have no idea.
The daughter responds something to the effect of, "I can't believe this is all on GoPro." Do you know what that's referencing?
I have no idea.
All right. Let's now go to Defense 87, which is the photograph.
Which has been received.
So in that binder, Mr. Ramon, if you go, do you see the little stickers? There's one called D87. Unless you can may I assist you?
You may.
It's kind of hard. So I'm going by these stickers. And you go up a little. Okay. Is this you?
Yes, it is.
And who's that?
That's Joanne.
And that's at the first aid station at the bottom. Produce this so we can ask him. Does that look like you skiing that day?
Yes.
All right. If Mr. Sanderson himself says, "I took this picture," do you dispute it?
No, I kind of remember that photo.
You were all smiles there, it looks like. True?
Yeah, but I don't know when that photo was taken.
And so I'm assuming I'm going to represent to you, and it's an admitted exhibit that it was at the first aid station. So let,
No foundation.
well, it's a stipulated exhibit, is it not?
Yes.
Do you dispute that this was taken at the bottom of the first aid station?
I don't know where it was taken.
Was she one of your skier friends that day? Right?
No, when we left him,
Did you do more runs?
We went back to the truck. But Joanne actually did not want to ski after that, and so we just went back to the truck. We actually had to go up a couple lifts to get back to the truck because we were on the other side.
I see. Okay, let's start way back for a minute. Do you remember some questions about someone, the idea that Ms. Paltrow, from the time of the collision until the time that she left, was about 8 minutes? Do you remember that question on direct?
No, she was only there for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. That's your testimony, is that she was only there 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes.
And that's from collision, so whenever you're ready. Collision to, and if you could highlight it and make it bigger.
Your Honor.
Do you remember in your deposition, it was you?
The deposition to the jury, you can read from it, but it's not an exhibit. It can't be shown to the jury.
All I'm doing is asking the question. Your
Well,
Honor.
but still,
Sus-
proper.
Sustained.
So you were the one that said, Your Honor, that
You don't get to decide if he objects.
that's
okay?
true. That is
All right.
true. I'll
So,
be
Mr.
quiet.
Sykes, let's just hear what the witness's answer is. I think it's a proper
I don't want
question.
to be interrupting the witness and dictating what he says.
Here's
Well, let me just instruct you. This is a cross-examination. It's not like a normal conversation between two people. And the questioner is entitled to ask questions that call for a yes or no response. If you can't answer it with a yes or a no, just indicate that. Just say, I really can't answer that with a yes or
I
no.
thought you were talking.
No.
Sorry.
Did you hear everything I just said?
No, I thought you were
Okay.
talking.
So this is cross-examination. This is not a normal conversation.
Okay.
And the questioner is entitled to ask you questions that require you to answer with a yes or no. Or if you can't answer it with a yes or no, just tell him, I really can't answer that with a yes or no. And then he'll ask a different question.
Okay.
And if there's more to be asked on that topic, the other side will have an opportunity to follow up later with you.
Okay.
collision to Ms. Paltrow leaving the scene was 8 to 10 minutes. True or false?
I can't answer that.
Do you need to be reminded? We could pull up your deposition transcript. If you need to be reminded, I'm happy to do that. Would you like me to do that?
Yes.
Okay. James, please pull that up.
Well, Your Honor,
You can show him a copy of his deposition and have him look at it.
So this is the physical copy of the transcript.
what section?
I assumed he would have his transcript with him. You don't, I take it?
No.
Page you read.
James, what page is that? 139.
Judge, we need to approach on this.
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Owens, you can show him the
Fine.
yeah, sure, on your trial pad.
Can you go show him? Thank you.
Okay, show the correction.
So we're going to
Would you
grind to
show
a
the
halt.
correction also, though?
Your Honor, we're
Right,
gonna
right now,
grind
we're in
to a
direct,
halt.
we're in the cross-examination, so you can go ahead.
Mr. Mullen, you can move back and forth. You don't have to have a room up here.
Did you happen to read your deposition, like before today?
Yeah. Yes.
And do you recall what you wrote? Taking up everyone's valuable time?
There was a lot in that deposition.
That question. Could you go ahead and read your transcript and
If I believe if you scroll down,
By the line member counsel and have him read it.
page 139, line 24 to 25. Are you with me?
no,
You're going to have to walk them.
scroll this down. What you're talking about was taken out of context.
Let's read the question. Can I read the question on
Yeah,
page
yes.
139, line?
Sorry, I.
You do it again.
There you go, so there's your answer.
Answer on lines 2-3 and 4.
Yeah, so it says here from the time she stood up until and then that's blocked out, and then it says, I don't know. Something was blocked out, and then it was cut off, and it says, I don't know.
Keep going. Just start reading the
It says
transcript.
maybe 10 minutes and then that's blocked off, and so it doesn't,
Line 6, is it 8 to 10 minutes? And what was your answer on line 8? Are you reading this?
Yes, I am.
What is line 8 say? The 3 words there.
Okay, it says about 8 minutes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, could we have him read the correction, too?
It's already been ruled on. Okay. Let's start from scratch here. Terry was your Facebook buddy, true?
He was on Facebook.
And you were friends with him.
Acquaintance.
So on Facebook, friends means friends. You're a friend of his on Facebook, or do we have to
There's
pull
people
that
that
up?
have 1,000 different friends on Facebook. I don't even.
Do we have to pull it up? We've got it.
Well, you can pull it up if you'd like. I don't even go on Facebook.
So the way this works is I ask a question,
Okay.
and if you say yes, we go on, and if you say no, then we pull it up.
Okay. Yes. We're on Facebook.
You're friends on Facebook.
Yes.
You're colorblind, true?
Somewhat. Yes.
Well, in
Yes.
your deposition,
Yes.
you didn't
Yes.
say
Yes.
somewhat.
Yes. Sorry.
So one rule of the court is we can't talk over each other. So I'll complete my full question, then you complete your full answer. You're colorblind.
Yes.
And you don't know the color, the outfit, for instance, Paltrow was wearing that day, true?
True.
And you don't know the color that Terry was wearing that day, true?
True.
And when they collided, it looked like one person going down. Is that true?
Yes.
To this courtroom about that far, true?
Yes.
But you're not just focused on Terry, true?
I was focused on Terry. Well, now could you please repeat that?
Sure. You weren't just focused on Terry, right? That's not.
No, it's false.
You were just focused on Terry?
I was focused on. Yes, I was focused on Terry.
Oh.
Yes.
All right. You have not been in the workforce for 10 years, true?
True.
You spent about half skiing. True?
False.
what did you say? Traveling and scuba diving. Half.
Yes.
Skiing half.
False.
Okay, but that's how you spend your time, those activities.
True.
And Terry, strike that. Mr. Sanderson, he traveled internationally quite a bit too, didn't he?
False. I can't answer that.
Do you know how many international trips he went on after the ski collision?
I can't answer that.
Do you know of any?
No.
During these 6 or so days that you had skied with Mr. Sanderson before, that usually involves, for instance, having lunch together. Is that fair?
No.
Frequently?
Yes.
Yes. So that's time one-on-one, having a burger or something in the mid-lodge, right?
That's false.
Tell me how it's false.
It's we're in a group of people.
All right. And then sometimes after skiing, you guys would go get some drinks and talk. Fair?
I can't answer that.
After skiing, would you guys go get drinks together or eat together during those 6 visits? Did you ever do that?
Yes.
And one of those times was just one-on-one with the two of you. True?
False.
And one of those was just one-on-one with you. And your answer?
Skiing? False.
Okay. How about after the collision? Did you do that one-on-one sometimes?
No.
And you did not observe anything unusual about him, emotionally, physically. True?
False.
Oh, okay. So we'll pull that up here in just a minute. You knew that Terry had a bad eye. I'm using quotes around that because that's...
False.
You didn't know exactly, but you knew he was about 70 years old.
True.
When you were skiing down that day, you heard a noise.
True.
Female voice. True?
True.
And you turned to look. True?
True.
One of the things you were doing while skiing, hopefully, is yourself to make sure you don't actually crash into someone. Is that fair? This is in, let's say, the 1 minute before the ski collision. You're focused primarily, I assume, on enjoying your day.
True.
And is it true there was moderate ski traffic that day?
True.
There was a picture of the bandana run. You're familiar with it?
True.
Or I guess at the time I deposed you, you didn't know the name of it. Is that fair?
True.
You were a snowbird guy, really.
True.
And you bragged like I had 150 days skiing, right? The year before.
Objection to the
I-
motion with Ray. Overruled.
Did you tell me like you had skied 150 days previous
True.
in 1 year?
True.
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 Collided with was not wearing a helmet. Is that true? That's your memory?
I don't know.
Did you tell me she was not wearing a helmet?
I'm not sure. I don't remember what she was wearing.
Do you remember previously testifying that she was not wearing a helmet?
I'm not sure what she was wearing. If you look through the
Sir,
deposition to that,
And why can't you?
because
Why can't you tell me that whether you She was not wearing a helmet. I mean, did you tell me that previously?
I don't think so.
Oh boy. I'm going to make a note of these things. Well, let's go to page 63. James, I think we're going to have to do that.
So I'm sorry.
Okay.
And those are dashes.
All right. Have you looked at the bottom of page 63? Sorry if I said 53, 63.
Bottom of 53.
63. Is it 53 too?
No, I'm just asking you. Bottom of 63.
Read that, sir, the last 4 lines.
Yeah, it says above. It says, I think she was
So-
wearing a hat,
So
but a helmet didn't.
So that's 64.
didn't stand out.
James, can you just stay exactly right with him and stay with him? Bottom of last 4 lines.
So just
Yeah, there it says. And when I questioned you about a year and a half ago, you said she was not wearing a helmet. Do you remember that? Yes.
And your answer was yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep going. Thank you. And she was not wearing goggles either. True?
I can't answer that.
Sir, did you read your deposition before this?
Yes.
Like how many days ago?
Yes. What she was, I can't remember what she was wearing.
Can you stay right with them on page 64 at the top? Can you read page 64 at the top? And she was... Okay, I'm going to read the question, you
Yes,
read
yes.
the answer. So let's just start at the top here.
Okay.
64. So is your best memory she was not wearing a helmet? What was your answer?
Yes.
And she was not wearing goggles. And you wrote, you said?
Yes.
No, it doesn't say that.
Yes,
Line 5. And
And
she was
it
not
says
wearing
question-
goggles.
And she was not wearing goggles. No.
And I said, is that right? And you said,
yes.
she had no goggles, no helmet, and no face, nothing covering her face at the time of the collision. Is that your testimony today?
Answer that.
All right. You've previously testified under oath. True?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're done for a minute. Thank you. Okay. Groomed run. It was a groomed run, right?
Yes.
Not hard and icy. It was
It was very firm.
okay. So I should specify, like, so hills can be hard or they can be icy. Which was it?
Icy. When it's icy, you can go down with ice skates, and this was very, very firm.
So good conditions, right?
Yes.
Do you recall that from the time you heard a scream, you can't tell male or female, you looked, and in a split second, then is when you then second. Do you recall those terms?
No.
Split second. Do we have to look it up, or are you going to deny it?
A second or two.
I'd like to make an objection here. This is an improper use of a deposition. You're supposed to ask the question, get the answer, and then show him the deposition, see if that reflects.
And then you look it up.
Go ahead.
Today I hear you saying 1 to 2 seconds between the scream and the collision.
Yes.
But in your deposition, you told me split second. Do you agree or disagree?
Objection, that's improper, Judge.
Agree or disagree?
Overruled?
I would agree.
Okay, thank you. True?
Yes.
Hands out, skis out.
Yes.
His skis stayed on,
Yes.
and she went right over him, spread eagle, head down.
No, she was on his back, and then
Her head's downhill, true?
yes, yes.
And then she slid off of him. That's your testimony.
Yeah.
And is that true?
Yes.
And then when they came to arrest, she was below him on the hill. If he was spread eagle, head down toward the bottom of the hill, and his skis crossed, were his skis crossed or were they out?
No, they were out. They were not
Okay.
crossed.
Did you ever go and help him, like, take his skis off?
No.
In the, let's say, the 5 seconds before the collision, you didn't watch where Gwyneth came from, true?
True.
And you didn't watch where Terry came from.
True.
Now, Terry's a good skier, you said, and he skis parallel.
True.
And the collision occurred to the far right if you're going downhill for the skier's right. True?
True.
And there's a bit of a, not a cliff, but kind of a sharp descent right there. True?
True.
Gwyneth was skiing with an adult male. Do you remember?
Yes.
And you thought it might be the Coldplay guy. Was that your...
I didn't know who it was.
Did you tell me in your deposition you thought it was the Coldplay guy?
Joanne, she's into that stuff, and she said...
Did you tell me at your deposition that it was the Coldplay guy?
I said it might have been.
And her son. You saw that her son came over?
True.
About any statement? Like, hey, I wanted you to know what I saw?
No.
Now, do you agree your eyesight is not as good as it was? And by then, she was like about 10 feet away from the collision site?
True.
And let's pull up, James, if you don't mind, Exhibit 4 of Ramon's deposition. And I to write during your deposition sort of X's. Do you recall this?
Yes.
X is where things are, and this is it. If you look to your left there, and if you want to come down,
Your Honor, is that an admitted exhibit? I don't think it is.
And I'm sure it's not an exhibit because I've only admitted like 3.
Why don't we take it down till we can resolve? Is it going to be admitted? Is it demonstrative? What is it?
So it's going to establish the foundation for him and probably move to admit it.
Is it? Well, why don't you approach?
Yes.
Is there a stipulation on this exhibit that it can may be admitted?
Yes.
Okay. Defense Exhibit 89A is received.
Yes.
I think you can just use the big microphone there. But you can bring the exhibit to you if you want. I don't want you to hurt your back.
Well, I'm fine.
Okay.
A few things. G stands for Gwyneth. Is that true?
Yes.
And then the X below that is Terry. You wrote Terry?
That's actually above. If you look right
Oh.
here, it says top.
You're absolutely right. You're right. Thank you. Let's orient us. So at the top you wrote bottom. This is going to be very confusing for the transcript, but BOT, that means bottom, right?
Yes.
And at the bottom it says top. This is going to screw everyone up. True?
Well, it's the top of the hill and the bottom of the hill.
Thank you so much. So, and this represents where they came to a stop. Is that fair?
Yes.
Side it says drop off, right? That's the,
Yeah. Yes.
and that's your own handwriting.
Yes.
And okay, so then you put 2 X's with Craig, and what does it say? Does that say 40 right next to you? Craig 40? What is that?
Oh. Yeah, 40. Yes.
That's 40 feet away, right?
Yeah, from the time of the collision.
Earlier, I heard you say something like 35 feet, but you wrote 40 feet when we previously talked, right?
Yes.
And then that's where you came to a stop initially, and then it says Craig, and what there?
Is Craig after? Is that what you're looking at?
Craig after. So you slid down at some point. Is that fair?
Slid down. Where it says 40, that's where I saw the collision, and then I skied down to after the collision.
Right. So what's the before versus after again? Why are there 2 Craig X's?
Because that's where I saw the collision, and then after that, where it says Craig after that, I skied down. I ended up.
Are you changing it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, have you previously met with the lawyers for Terry Sanderson?
The previous lawyer? Yes, I've met with him.
Did you meet with his previous lawyer too?
No.
Okay, I may have misunderstood you, so you can forget my question. you recognize these are not your lawyers, right? They're Terry's lawyers.
True.
Okay. But they prepared you for your deposition?
They just
Okay. But you met with them previously
I've met with them.
without me.
I've met with them.
Since the accident, you've had several casual conversations with Terry, is that right?
True.
He's someone more than just someone you skied with.
I went to once I met him at the Cotton Bottom, and twice I met him at the Cotton Bottom.
That you could talk, Terry could talk to a wall for 3 or 4 hours and have a good communication, good conversation.
Yeah, so I was saying he has the gift for gab.
And that, all right. True that Terry, if he was all right after the collision.
That's true.
And he nodded yes. Yes or no?
He nodded a little bit, but he did just nodded.
He nodded yes.
He shook his head a little bit.
Sir, do we have to go to the transcript?
If you'd like.
No, I don't want.
He nodded a little bit.
He nodded yes. Is the answer yes?
He never said yes.
Okay. Answer yes. Do you deny that?
What page, Steve?
107, line 12.
Your redirect.
Okay, so here's 107, and then there's 12.
All right, I'm going to
right
read
now.
the line. Why don't you read it? Line 12 and 13, and your answer on line 14.
Well, it says he nodded yes, and
Question mark. Don't commentary it. Just give it to me.
it says yes.
All right. That's all on that. Terry was complaining of rib pain after the collision, true?
True.
He was not complaining of any other kind of pain, true?
True.
For instance, head pain. He wasn't saying my head hurts. He was saying my ribs hurt.
True.
Thank you. When you met with Terry these times after the collision, I personally could not tell anything different with Terry. Is that true?
True.
One of your interactions with Terry was to go to an elk farm, and you point to an elk and shoot it for you and give you the meat. Is that true?
Could you repeat that?
You bet I can. One of your activities with Terry was to go to an elk farm where you point to an elk and they shoot it right there in front of you, and then you buy the meat.
False.
Oh, am I making this up that you did this with Terry?
Yes.
Oh, well, I didn't make it up from somewhere. What did you tell me about elk meat with Terry?
Well, what I told you was I knew he had some kids because they like elk meat, and Terry went to an elk farm to get an elk, but he didn't shoot it. They shot it for him,
Okay.
and then he had given the meat to his kids.
And have you done that too?
No,
Have you gotten an elk before?
Yes.
Okay. I thought those two things were the same thing, but you're saying. Excuse me while I try to wind up here. Is this true that Gwyneth, where she initially stopped after the collision, she looked upset?
No, she just had a blank look on her face.
Okay, we'll find that in just one moment. At some point, she slid down a little further, like from 10 feet to then 20 feet. Is that right? Position, so I don't want to go there if we don't have to. Didn't she move at some point without leaving the entire scene from her spot where she ended up after the collision?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I'm questioning myself whether we even need to address this. But did she ski down a little bit after she stopped in the collision?
She skied down. She slid down a few feet.
Okay. When Terry was going down the hill before the collision, he was going straight down with the skis parallel. True?
Yes, he was doing small turns.
Terry was skiing straight down.
Yes, basically straight. Yeah, when people.
Is that your testimony?
Yes, he was
skiing straight
Sorry,
down.
I won't talk over you. Sorry.
Just tell me if this is the true statement. Terry was skiing straight down.
Yes.
Up to me. True?
Yes.
Even though she, according to you, had no helmet on, no goggles, and no mask or scarf, you did not recognize her.
No.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I take it you don't know what her son saw, Moses,
I do not.
or what he heard.
I do not.
Now, after someone's been hit, you understand the idea that when they go back up, might be a little more tentative, more cautious, more concerned.
True.
Like just if I got in a car accident, maybe the next time I'm driving, I'm going to be extra, maybe less confident. Is that fair?
True.
It sounds like under your story that you had to get in between the instructor because he was so berating Terry, who was down on the ground. Is that true?
True.
If both Eric Christiansen and Gwyneth's boyfriend at the time, who was not the Coldplay guy, both say you didn't ski up until sometime after the collision. Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
The 8 to 10 minute statement, you did make a correction to your deposition sometime later, changing that to 3 to 4 minutes. Is that true?
True.
But when I was there, present, deposing you with a court reporter, you told me 8 to 10.
I can't answer that.
You made a change after the deposition was over. Is that true? And What caused you to make that change, like after it was all over?
Because it was taken out of context. If you actually look down to where I said that, a few pages down, it said that was wrong. It was 3 to 4.
Within a 25-foot diameter of the scene, did you ever see any other instructor come by?
No.
So if Mr. Christiansen says ski patrol actually came by and said, "Are things okay?" you deny that?
Yes, I never saw a ski patrol come by.
Did you ever ask Mr. Christiansen, "Hey, I think we ought to get toboggan here"?
No.
In fact, Terry was standing at some point, true?
True.
And that was before the ski instructor left.
True.
Do you agree some things may have been said that you don't remember among the group?
There was no.
Yes or no, please?
Could you please repeat that?
Sure. Do you acknowledge you don't have a perfect memory and that some things may have been said that you don't remember?
I pretty much remember.
So, just say true or false. I have a perfect.
False.
I've got to re-ask my question. I have a perfect memory. Go ahead. True.
I think that's enough there.
True or false?
Overruled.
There could have been something that I.
True or false? I have a perfect memory.
False.
Now I'll let you finish your statement. Go ahead. There may have been some things that were said that you don't recall.
True.
Okay, we talked about how Mr. Sanderson was spread eagle, head downhill, and Gwyneth was spread eagle, head downhill. True?
False.
Okay. It's a compound question, so I'm going to separate. Was Gwyneth spread eagle down? Go ahead.
No.
Okay, and was her head downhill?
Yes.
Okay. And how were her skis?
They were parallel.
Okay, head downhill. Was it straight down, like 90-degree angle, or was she at a
She was.
angle?
Her head was straight down, and her skis were up above.
To the right or to the left, or straight?
I'm not sure whether her skis were pointed to the right or to the left, but she was on her.
Okay. At some point, Eric Christiansen said, or Christensen, apparently I've been pronouncing it wrong for several years, said, your buddy took out Gwyneth Paltrow. True?
True.
And you, upon hearing that, actually backed up because you were going to go to get a closer look. Is that true?
True.
And when Gwyneth saw you doing that, she left.
True.
You were trying to talk to her, and she was not responding to you. True?
True.
At some point in this today, you said, I wasn't thinking straight. I'm not thinking. Did you say that today? And you were talking about the time of the collision.
True.
You understand Deer Valley is not on trial here today.
True.
The court dismissed Deer Valley. Did you understand that?
Yes.
Do you agree with this concept that there are risks in skiing?
True.
They're sort of inherent with the physical outdoor activity.
True.
Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Let's take a little bit longer recess for mid-afternoon. So we'll take a recess now. Thank you. Thank you. Would council approach, please? Is Tanya in here? No. Okay. When you see her.
I'll let her know.
Okay. Thanks. We ready for the jury? Then they're on their way. Thank you. We are. I think they're on their way. I told them when I walked past. All right, thank you.
The deposition, Judge. We apologize. I'm going to blame it on the fog. Okay. Mr. Ramon, I got just about 4 or 5 questions for you, briefly. When you looked over at the, you heard the scream, looked over at the collision, can you tell the jury? I'm going to have you turn to page 63 in your deposition and read some clarifying information on that. I'm going to have Lawrence show you his on his computer, okay? And we're going to page 63, line 18, okay? Now, I'm going to read the question, and then I'm going to read the answer and ask if I read it correctly, okay? 63, line 18. And was she wearing a helmet? Your answer, I don't believe she was wearing a helmet. I think she was wearing a hat, but a helmet didn't stand out. Was that your answer?
Correct. Yeah, 12 of 2000.
How long, stay there, Lawrence, if you would. You remember how long you were deposed that day?
7.5 hours.
Okay. Have you ever been deposed before?
No.
First time, right?
Yes.
What a joy, right?
That was a long day.
Okay. Now, Mr. Owens asked you about the whole thing.
So, Your Honor, form of impeachment, I think he needs to answer a question, and then if there's a contrary answer, then we go to the transcript.
Actually not. On redirect, he has a right,
Right now,
to...
he's rehabilitating based on your impeachment.
Okay.
So I'll permit it.
Page 107, line 12. Mr. Owens' question was, he nodded yes, and your answer was yes. Question, Terry nodded yes to the question, are you okay? Your answer, yeah, he was trying to get her, and when he got up, he didn't really bring up an are you okay with him, because he wasn't okay. You could see that. I mean, if it wouldn't have been for the mountain host pulling him up, Terry never would have, never wanted to even get up. Is that your full answer?
True.
Okay. And let's go to 109, 17 through 24. And the question was, does that sound like your answer? He probably said he was okay. Your answer was, I don't know what context this is coming from. He didn't come right out and say, yeah, I'm fine, I'm doing great. Is that your full answer?
True.
Okay, turn to 110, 2 through 6. Okay, line 2. Do you agree that when asked, Terry said he was okay? Your answer was, he never said he was okay. Question, so no, that's a no? Yes.
Your Honor, there wasn't even a question. So can I just read portions of the transcript I like? This is improper.
Your Honor, I'd like to rehabilitate the witness and show the true context. I've got 2 more of these and then I'm done.
I think you need to confirm. I mean, you didn't ask him a question on the last entry.
Oh, okay, well, I'll do that now. Okay. On page 112, do you see the question by Mr. Owens? He was nodding yes. You see that?
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking if you see the question.
Yes, number 2.
Okay, yeah. And your answer was, yeah, he nodded, and then there was an interruption. And Mr. Owens said yes. And your answer was nodded yes as he's laying there not speaking because he can't talk. Question. And the reason I say that is people can nod no, nodding doesn't help us. Answer. When he nodded yes, he was nodding with just. Is that your full answer?
True.
One more. 114, 4 through 7. It was okay. Answer, yes.
We got to back up because he just started. Did you dispute that you said it? We need to know what he's referencing.
Question, Mr. Owens.
Just a minute. There's an objection that it's. What's the objection that it's not a complete?
So he needs to go back to know what we're talking about. Do you dispute that you said it?
Question by Mr. Stephen Owens. So are you disputing that you said he said he was okay? Answer.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I've got. Thank you very much.
Mr. Owens?
The term spread that Terry after the collision was spread eagle. Did you not?
When he was laying on the ground, spread eagle.
Do you agree that Terry was out cold for several minutes?
Yes.
Several's more than 2 minutes.
Well, 2 minutes.
Your Honor, this is beyond scope.
Well, I'll allow a little bit of it overruled if you're going to the scope of redirect.
He was asking about sort of his positioning. So that the entire time he was out cold, he was spread eagle on the mountain?
Yes.
And did you do anything for him?
No.
The helmet thing. Sorry for the delay. Do you remember telling me that you thought it was odd she didn't have a... You thought it was odd that Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't have a helmet?
I don't recall that.
I would have noticed a helmet. So no helmet, right? Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Oh. All right. You want to go over to... Do you know, did I ever say, like, what I just said? Do you deny that? What I just read?
Do
you deny it?
If you look at the deposition, I let her sit. I wasn't sure exactly what she had on her, what she was wearing. It could have been a hat.
I would have noticed the helmet. So no,
What picture you want, sir?
I'm just gonna, this is, I want him to say it, and then I'll.
That's the question.
Well, he's reading, so.
I would have noticed the helmet. So no helmet, right?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
What picture you want?
Can I be interrupted while I'm doing this, Your Honor?
That's the only fair thing.
When he refers to the deposition, he'll have to give you the page reference, but right now he's not referring to the deposition.
He's reading about it.
Well, he may be reading from it, but he's not referring to it.
This is a statement that he made to me. Do you remember before your deposition you made a statement to me?
I don't recall.
Do you remember I came to your house with plaintiff's lawyers?
yes,
and
you
we
did.
put a little dictaphone right in front of you and said, can we interview you?
Yes.
You deny saying these words. I would have noticed the helmet. You deny saying that.
I don't recall that conversation.
Okay, let's go to it. James? So this is Exhibit 5 of the deposition. It's the interview. It's page 31.
We approach the back shot this one.
Sure.
Can you, sir, read the question and answer? And James, the page number is?
31. And then you want to start at line 15?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it says it says can you go to 12?
No commentary, just read the words, please.
I says I think she was wearing a hat, because the helmet, I would have noticed the helmet.
Okay, and the next 3 lines.
So no helmet, right? Yeah.
And
Yes.
I said that's a yes, and your answer?
Yes.
All right, sir, did you tell the truth when I asked you that question 5 years ago?
Apparently yes.
Okay. We're moving on. Sorry. 34, I think he said. Do you remember? You're going to have to stay there, I'm afraid. He said he was okay. Do you remember so testifying 5 years ago?
He never said he was okay.
That wasn't my question. My question was, did you answer my question 5 years ago that he was okay? He said he was okay.
He never said he was okay. He could hardly stand up.
Okay?
He could hardly speak.
So you deny ever saying that?
Your Honor, he wanted to finish his answer there before he was interrupted.
Did you finish your answer?
No, but we
So James?
about 2 minutes before the skitterel came and came down, he could hardly he had a hard time knowing what his name was. I mean, it took him 4 or 5. You're taking this. You're taking the.
Hold on.
There's no question.
Oh, okay. So sorry.
you.
Sorry.
All right, let's dig it out.
What line are you reading from, please?
I'm waiting for the question. Did you say that?
I don't see it here.
He probably said he was okay. Did you say that 5 years ago?
If I did, I probably didn't understand your question.
That wasn't my question. My question is, did you say that 5 years ago?
And I think he never said he was okay.
Terry said, yes, I'm okay. Did you say that?
He never said he was okay.
Have you told me that 5 years ago?
I think what you're doing is I think you're taking this stuff out of context.
Yes, he said he was okay. Do we need to look it up?
Yes.
Okay, James, could you get over there? Yes. 68.
Okay,
Okay, can you just read line 10, please?
Yes, he said he was okay.
Yes, he said he was okay. All right. Did you tell me the truth 5 years ago with plaintiff's counsel present?
I think I don't think I
Yes or no,
understood
sir?
I don't think I understood your question, because he was never okay. He could hardly stand.
Sir, here, listen to my question.
Okay.
Did you tell me the truth 5 years ago when you said, yes, he said he was okay? Yes or no?
I think you're taking stuff out of context is what I think. Because he was never okay.
So all I can do is point to a statement you gave to both of us with the transcription recorder present and saying I'm telling the truth. That is all I can say. So that's my only question. Was that your answer 5 years ago?
Your Honor, I object. Answer the answer.
Overruled? Can you answer it?
Just
with
say
a
yes or no.
Can you answer it with a yes or no question?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, it's the same question I'm asking like 10 times, but I'm trying to get a clear yes or no. Yes, he, meaning Mr. Sanderson, said he was okay.
I'm not sure exactly what okay means. We're this.
Yes or no, sir?
I don't know exactly what we were talking about when he was okay.
Well, we can go back and look. This is page 69. So I know what the mountain host is going to say. He's going to say, I asked him, and he said, Terry said, yes, I'm okay. Yes. And then he skied away, meaning the mountain host. And he was, yes or no? Yes. He said he was okay. Did I correctly read that?
I didn't have the right. You said 69.
Top of 68.
But it's 68. Got it. Okay, we'll go back up.
Your Honor,
I apologize. So, tell us where you're starting. Which line?
yeah, I don't want to spend any more time on this.
Does that conclude your questions? Okay.
No further questions.
All right. You're welcome to step down. Is this witness under subpoena? And may he testify again in the case?
He's not under subpoena, I don't.
Okay.
Yes, he is.
He may testify again?
If need be.
Okay.
In
So
there-
you're still under the exclusionary rule, meaning,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
You may call your next witness. Good afternoon, Ms. Davidson. If you could walk right up here to the clerk, she will, and then if you could raise your right hand, she will swear you in.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in the case now before the court will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Right over here and have a seat. You can move that binder out of your way. Thank you. And then we just want to make sure that you speak.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you state your full name and tell the jury where you live?
Yes, Teresa Carlene Davidson, St. George, Utah.
Okay. And you go by Carlene, correct?
I do.
Right. Tell the jury where you were born, where you grew up, what your education is.
Okay. With the Air Force, and I moved all over the world during my first 18 years of life, and ended up in the Salt Lake Valley, where I worked for KSL for a few years, and then ended up at a dental lab as an accountant. And I have 2 awesome daughters and 7 beautiful granddaughters that I'm enjoying in St. George, Utah.
And there's an interesting thing about you.
I had to come back for my senior year. Not a pleasant thing, senior year in California, but that was all
Talk
right.
about Athens, Greece, not Athens, Georgia, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
No, I have a very rich life. I've been very blessed.
And tell the jury about your training from Standpoint University or higher education. Where'd you go and when?
Higher education, I went to Brigham Young University for 1 year, and then after that kind of got my MRS, as they say, and ended up married and raising children.
All right. Good. And with respect to, excuse me, let's see here. If you could explain to the jury how you met Terry Sanderson.
Okay. I was single for a few years, and
So you had a divorce.
Yes,
You're
yes,
single,
divorced
okay.
from the girl's father, and then unfortunately had another marriage and ended up single again,
Okay.
and got onto a match site, and I happened to recognize a fellow that was in a picture that Terry was also in the picture, but I had an acquaintance there that knew him as well, so I contacted this acquaintance and asked him about this fellow and contacted Terry.
Okay. And then about what year, how long was your relationship? The accident, by the way, was February 26th of 2016.
Correct, right. We dated for about, well, in a serious relationship for about 18 months prior to the accident, and then
Describe Terry during that 18 months.
he was a goer. I had a lot of trouble keeping up with him. He's about 5 years older than I am, and he was definitely had a lot of energy, a lot of joyful. He was just a fun, loving, wanted to play and have a good time in life. He was very energetic, very ambitious.
What are some of the activities you did during that time?
A lot of hiking, a lot of partying, to going to different events throughout the valley. We did some traveling the year of 2015. We went on a cruise. We went to Italy. We also later in the year of 2015 we went to that was to Belize and Key West. So I wasn't the swimmer. He was. He has a pool in his home. One of those pools that have the equipment that moves the water, and he's probably swam 3 times a week.
Tell me, you mentioned overseas trips. Where are some of the places you went with him overseas?
The Netherlands. We flew into Amsterdam. We went to, and then did a cruise out of Italy, and then came back and spent 3 weeks in Italy, pretty much. Right.
Where else did you go?
On the cruise, we went.
No, there's other countries.
Oh, later we went to Belize and a lot of places in the U.S., just little stops.
Did you go to Spain with him?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That was on the cruise in.
Any of those places?
No.
Oh, okay. How would you describe his personality in the, say, year and a half before the ski accident? How would you describe it?
Very joyful. Like I said, a lot of energy. He had a lot of events that he liked to go to. I remember his calendar when I was looking back on pictures and things. We were always involved in something. He liked to volunteer a lot. And
what do you mean by volunteer? What do you volunteer for?
Cystic fibrosis. I know he was a volunteer for different events, and he liked to go and be involved, meet people, meet and greet. He was a good mentor. He liked to mentor a lot of younger people, and was very good at that and enjoyed a lot of that. A lot of contact with different people. We spent a lot of time in the Salt Lake area because that's where all the events were.
More or less than 300 days, you think?
25 days a month.
Per month? Okay. For that whole time?
Yeah.
Period. Okay. Describe him in terms of kindness, gentleness, communicative, that kind of thing.
he was very good at communicating. He liked to do that. That's one of the things that we spent a lot of time talking and engaging in a lot of fun topics that we like to explore. Terry was an explorer of all information. He liked to, when we were traveling, he would always be reading up on something, always, looking into things and engaging other people in gathering information. He liked to do that. But he was a very joyful, happy person. In fact, I was looking back through some of my emails, or not emails, pictures, and he always had a smile on his face. He had a beautiful smile. He was just a happy person.
Was he kind?
Very kind.
Describe that to the jury.
How would you describe kindness? He engaged with people, and I guess the way his kindness showed through would be just his patience with talking with people about different aspects of their lives, and my grandchildren, even the kindness that he had with opportunities that he had to explore and speak with them, and he just had a gentleness about him.
Did you ever have family get-togethers with his side of the family?
Yes, we did.
Would you describe those for the jury, please?
One of them, and with the whole family, and his first wife was there. I remember his daughter coming to me, and she said, "Thank you so much for putting up with the family aspects of." It was the first time that he had been around his former wife for quite some time, and it worked out very well.
How did he treat her?
Enjoyable. Oh, fine. It was actually saying we had a great big family reunion, family dinner, family fun. It worked out very well.
Now, did he ever use alcohol with you?
Sure.
Okay. And did you ever observe him to use alcohol too?
No. There would be once or twice that we might take a whole bottle of wine and enjoy it, but no, not very often.
Okay. When you dated, was this a love relationship? Were you heading toward marriage, or how would you describe that?
I wanted it. And I was looking forward to having a long-term relationship with him. I adored him. He was a great guy.
So were you in love with him?
Absolutely.
Was he in love with you, in your opinion?
I thought so, yes. Yes.
And at this point, he's about 70 or so, right?
That time, yes.
At the end of your relationship, just before the accident, February 26th of 2016, how would you describe Terry's activity level?
Just like I have, very, very. There wasn't much. I had a hard time keeping up.
Okay. Did you ever, during the 18 months or so that you were dating him, up here 300 days a year, okay, did you ever notice him to be clumsy or accident prone, anything like that?
Not really, no. No, he seemed to. He was helping me move an estate from my parents. I had lost my mother right before I met Terry, and we did a lot of juggling of my assets from her estate, and he was very helpful with that. In fact, he helped to move a lot of furniture and didn't damage too much that I remember. He seemed to be pretty capable.
Were you ever aware that he had a problem in one of his eyes that he was not seeing? Were you aware of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Did it ever affect him in your anything you saw?
You know what was odd about that is I half the time didn't realize that he had a problem. I never knew which eye it was. I would have to ask, and no, for the most part, he covered it. Had a home in Bountiful that I sold, and we were getting rid of a lot of the furniture and items in that home and moving things down to St. George, and he drove the big old truck, the 26-foot truck. I don't know that we
like a U-Haul thing.
Yeah.
Down to St. George.
Down to St. George from Salt Lake, and he didn't have a bit of trouble. I'm not aware of the eye situation. Like I say,
When you were up here, did he do the driving, or did you do the driving?
Oh, he did the driving.
You ever notice any problem with him driving?
No.
Any accidents? Any bumping into people in the parking lot or other cars? Nothing like that?
Not while I was with him. No.
Okay. Do you recall How would you characterize his health during those 18 months or so when you were before the accident?
Like I say, the hiking, the swimming, the dancing, he had a lot of energy. He seemed to be very...
Conditions that you were aware of?
Not that I was aware of. I say, if there was anything there, I was not aware of it.
Kind of a headache problem?
Not extreme, not any more so than most of us do, and might get a headache in an afternoon and need to run for a minute, but no.
How about sleep apnea? Were you aware of that?
Not during that time, no.
What about...
He didn't have time.
Okay. What about complaining that he was losing energy? You ever hear that?
Not during that time, no.
I'm talking about prior to the accident now.
Right. That's,
Getting things prior to the accident?
no. Not that I noticed, no.
By the way, have you ever testified in court before? Is this the first time?
No, this is the first time.
First time, okay. It's fun, isn't it?
My hands are sweaty.
Okay. All right. Did you ever... you're not a skier.
I used to ski.
Okay.
Years ago.
Did Terry ever talk about skiing with you prior to the...
Oh, he would have loved to have had me ski with him, but no, I have a knee that went out on me a few years back, and I don't ski anymore.
What was Terry's attitude towards skiing?
And towards skiing,
Yeah.
that was his livelihood in the wintertime. That was one of the reasons that the distance between St. George and Salt Lake got to be a problem, especially in the wintertime, because he did not want to leave to go to warm St. George where he could stay up here and ski.
Find out that there was a ski accident.
I was on my way back here from St. George the day that, I think I was on the road, in fact, when he called and said, I have been in a ski accident and I'm injured, but I'll tell you more about it when we get home. I don't think he wanted to worry me. So he said, I'll talk about it later.
Did he ever give you the name of the person who hit him?
I don't think so, not at that time.
All right.
No.
And that was the same day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what did you do after that?
I just met him at the house. Well, not met him there. I think I arrived there first. And then he came later in the probably early evening is when he finally got back.
Describe his condition.
Like he felt very well at all. He was kind of wild hair. He wasn't looking good. Ashen gray, his face, his coloring, everything. He just looked like he was injured. He was cranky. He was ornery. He just was tired and wanted to go to bed, and it's basically what he did. I wanted to encourage him to go to the doctor because I was quite concerned by the way, well, especially when he said his ribs were broken. He knew his ribs were broken at that point, and then a concussion. I think they had determined the concussion there at the clinic. Slight concussion. I'd say he lost consciousness, yeah.
Okay. Did he tell you how he was taken off the mountain?
He went in a toboggan, I know that.
Okay. Was he able to move around at all very well?
Not when he got home. No, he was a very sore Jose. He didn't move well at all. In fact, he went to bed quite. When he got home, it might have been.
Did he complain about weakness?
Yeah, he. It was relationship status things. I was trying to email and talk and put things back together. I haven't always been real successful in relationships, and so I blamed trying to think it was my fault or that things were going wrong in the relationship. And I think there was more going on than I realized.
Did he
I
become
didn't know.
obsessed with anything that he hadn't been obsessed with before? If so, what?
His health. He felt very conscious of his mental status and capabilities, and it seemed like he just
Explain that to the jury.
It's hard after 7 years to think back on specifics. Just little things that he would try and do. He felt like he was not capable of getting things done like he was used to, and I know he'd spend a lot of time on his laptop, and he was very involved with the Fidelity and his finances and different things. He would, get involved with his broker and talk about things, and they would do things on the laptops. But I don't think he felt like he was where he was before the accident. He just couldn't. I know there was one time, silly little thing, but he was putting an antenna on the window of the house. Terry was very conscious of saving a dime. He wanted to, fix things and do things on his own. And so he was putting in this antenna, and he got disgruntled about putting in a simple antenna on the window of his living room and things like that. Yeah, he just, that's what I saw. But as far as, what he was feeling, I think he was real discouraged, and that's where he was putting that across too, that he just felt real discouraged with what he was trying to do.
Did Terry seek therapy, if you know?
I think he did. Yeah, I know that, yes, he did. He had doctor's appointments and things that he was doing after that accident. I think he was struggling with that and trying to figure out what was going on. And like I say, Terry hides things really well as far as, I think he didn't want to let on that he was struggling, but at the same time, being his partner, I think he would let on a little bit more that, he was having still hurting.
Did you seek counseling?
Did I? Yes.
For what was happening with Terry?
Well, I sought counseling for myself, yes. I
Explain
did.
that.
The relationship was falling apart, and I was taking on some of that blame and wanting to find out why and figure out.
You told me once you were heartbroken. Explain that.
I thought I had met the love of my life when I met Terry. We were just a cute couple. We did great together, and it didn't work. He broke my heart when he started pushing me away, and it just dissolved.
How long did you have a relationship? How many months after the accident?
About 6 months.
6 months?
About 6 months.
Did his activity level change during that time?
Mm-hmm. Extremely, extremely, yes. His activity level changed. He became like an old man. He didn't want to do anything anymore. He just felt like he wasn't capable or just didn't feel good about it. His joy was gone. Terry was a joyful person, and his joy was gone. He didn't...
The accident. Explain.
Basically that, yes. He became agitated easily. Terry was not a man that I ever knew to be aggravated, agitated, angry, and he became more so in that regard afterwards. He was, little things would get him. She always would go sit on his chair in the living room, on the back of his chair, and I remember him coming out one day, and he pushed her off the chair and yelled at her and scolded her and said, "Why are you on my chair? Get away." And little things like that just didn't seem right. He changed.
And that was what about his emotional status? Did that change? How would you describe it?
Yeah, he that's hard. It's kind of silly, but he seemed to cry easily, get frustrated and tear up, and that was something that he didn't. Like I say before, he would I think he wanted to show he was strong and capable, and afterwards he showed kind of a weakness to the effects of everything that was going on for him.
How would you summarize your relationship at about 5 months after the accident? Kind of summarize that for the jury.
Thought that would be the better thing for me. In fact, I think he was kind of encouraging me, thinking, okay, would encourage him to come with me, but at that point, for whatever reason, he refused to be a part of that anymore.
Your Honor, can we just deal with the housekeeping matter for a minute? If we're trying to let the jury leave at 5, and if we're trying to get this witness done today, we would like the remainder of the time. But if she's coming back tomorrow, we don't have to worry about this.
Why don't we see how far we get? Mr. Sykes, please proceed.
Describe any cognitive changes by the end of the relationship in terms of attention, concentration, seeming smart, etc.
That's where he withdrew. He really didn't engage anymore with it. Even emails and things when I was gone, and the exchange of...
He lost intelligence to you?
Sure, yeah, I guess. He wasn't the same man, so it was hard for me to say just what specifically.
This loss of the relationship, do you have any reason to attribute that to the ski accident?
You know, I didn't at first, and now looking back and seeing that perhaps it was a brain injury and perhaps there were other things going on, I would say so now, yeah.
Until the day before the ski accident, was the relationship strong?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we were doing great.
Second. Thank you.
Yes.
No further questions, Judge.
Mr. Egan?
Miss Davidson,
Hello.
pleased to meet you. A lot of time,
I know, I noticed
so
that.
I apologize if they're kind of rapid fire.
Okay.
So you said that Mr. Sanderson hides things really well, and I'm wondering if you think that it's possible that he might have hid some intentionally, but he kept them from you in the way that you described. Is that possible?
Probably, yeah.
So is it fair to say that when it comes to depression or anxiety or a number of other medical conditions, it's possible that he had them and you didn't know about it?
That could be.
And you wouldn't dispute if there were medical records to the...
No, I wouldn't dispute that, no.
Right, okay. You said, I believe that, if I heard you correctly, it was your understanding that Mr. Sanderson did not know who hit him
As I recall.
and he was also uncertain about what happened. Is that right?
He lost consciousness. That's all I knew was, yeah. So I don't know that other than, losing consciousness and going on perhaps what someone else said.
Okay. And was that someone else, to your understanding, Mr. Craig Ramone?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know Craig Ramone?
I don't, no,
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I may have met him once. I just don't remember him.
Okay. Was it your understanding from what you learned about the accident that Mr. Sanderson had been asked if he was okay by a Deer Valley or some other ski patrol person, and he said that he was?
And that's, I think, after when we did start talking about the accident, that yes, someone had asked him, are you okay? And my understanding was when he came to, and you know how you come to and you're kind of like shaken, and it's like, are you okay? And I think I'm okay, but then 5 minutes, 10 minutes down the road, you're like, oh, wait a minute, my ribs hurt. I'm not okay. I hurt. I don't feel the same.
I see. And speaking of the ribs, is it true that the ribs were his chief complaint, his pain in his side when you first talked to him?
Yes, that was his main concern, just because I would try and give him a hug or try and help him, and it's like, don't touch me. But he didn't look good either. That's where I briefed me on watching, as a person that has a concussion, what to do. And so I kind of, kept that in my awareness through the...
Okay, as I recall, you said that you had encouraged him to go even the day before.
Yes, but yeah, he just wouldn't have anything to do with... He wanted to go to bed. He was like, no, I'm going to bed. I'm done. I don't feel good. I'm just going to bed.
And he complained about his ribs, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But did he complain about any head pain?
I'm sure he did, yes, because that's why I called my daughter. And, I knew that he had whatever it was, I guess there was a suspicion of a concussion at the time. I don't know if it had actually been diagnosed at the clinic. I'm not sure of that. But I know that there was a suspicion of it, and because he wasn't feeling well and complained of just he didn't look good. And that's when I wanted to make sure he was okay.
Okay, these might not be in terribly organized. Be mindful of time. As I understand it, immediately after the relationship that you had with Mr. Sanderson, he moved on to a new relationship. Is that correct?
I hate to say it, pitched it at one point because I think my jealousy was a little bit there, and she had been with us through different concerts and hiking and doing things, and at one point I just thought, maybe you and Robin ought to try it out because you've got a lot in common, but that was my own little jealousy.
And you talked about the reasons for the ending of the relationship. Early on, you didn't think that it was related to the accident, correct?
I didn't know. I thought it was my doing just because I don't do real well in relationships.
No, I'm sorry to hear you say that. But in terms of your own understanding now, you mentioned that you have a new understanding, but that...
7 years. Probably within the last 4 years ago, maybe during the deposition time. No, that was 2 years ago. At some point, he contacted me again and said he was really sorry for what had happened and that he felt badly and tried to get us back together. But I've been in a new relationship and quite steady and doing well with it, so I'm good now.
I see. As I understand it, your understanding of his medical condition, his health, and the accident was primarily derived from those couple weeks after the accident. Is that correct?
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay, yeah. So, you're up close, personal.
I took care of him for the first couple of weeks right after. I stayed there for about, I think, 2 weeks, close to 2 weeks.
Right, and so that up close, personal, understandable condition is limited to those weeks. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct. No, what I'm trying to get to. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. What I'm trying to get to is in your deposition, you made a distinction about the understanding you had at the time, and that those first few weeks, and that later you became, I think, focused on the relationship and not on his health, is I think how you put it. Does that sound fair?
Improper use of a deposition.
Sustained?
Okay, I apologize. I'm trying to just be quick. So,
Sure.
Let's see. Would it be fair to say that your understanding of his health was limited after those few weeks because you didn't see him as frequently?
Okay.
And I could get the deposition transcript out and bring it to you, and we could look at the
No,
actual.
that's all right.
If you don't.
Okay, yeah. You're just saying that time that I was taking care of him, that would be the limitation of my understanding what his health conditions were.
Yeah, that you had a good understanding for those few weeks, but then after that, you didn't have as good an understanding because you focused on other things, and he had withdrawn.
Probably that was accurate.
Okay, that's what I mean.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, I didn't ask the question
No,
very well.
that's fair.
I'm glad of that.
Sure.
Thank you. So you mentioned earlier, I believe, that he kind of became like an old man. Do you remember that testimony?
Yeah, no,
So
definitely.
would it surprise you if he had told maybe even a doctor a number of weeks before the accident that he'd gotten old all of a sudden?
Oh.
Okay, but would that surprise you if he had said that?
Yes,
Okay.
it would, I guess, because we, as I recall, we were quite active up until that time. But then again, I had been away for a while. I had been in St. George for some time. I don't know. There again, that's why I'm trying to think. It's been so long.
Sure.
Back when the accident had occurred, I was just coming back, so I had been away for a couple of weeks prior to that.
Right, okay, thank you. Just in this same vein, would it be surprising to you if someone had said that he would, again, before the accident,
Okay.
routinely walk into walls?
Oh, that surprises me.
Or what about, you mentioned the vision issue, which you did have an understanding of, correct?
Absolutely.
So did you ever observe him asking someone standing on the right side of his vision to move so that he could see them better?
Oh, no.
That might have impacted him, and he would have had to get MRIs and that sort of thing for.
Prior to the accident, I don't remember.
Okay, that's okay.
Don't remember.
If that's
Sorry.
the truth, that's fine. And one of the reasons I ask it is that I'm wondering if you know whether that sort of was the reason that he retired from his profession.
Oh, that surprises me. No.
Well, I'm just asking if
Oh,
that's
no,
your
no,
knowledge.
no,
Okay.
not at all.
And then, did he ever talk about adjusting his skiing to one side of the slope so that he could avoid hitting people?
Never. Not in my knowledge. No.
Or what about just being picky about the days that he skied so that he could avoid bad lighting?
Oh, this is all new information. Never
Okay.
heard of it.
I'm not giving you information. I'm just asking if it would be something you would say or you
No.
would have seen in him. Okay.
No.
Okay, I believe I am done, but I'm going to look at one more thing to see if I need to ask it. It may have him during those weeks. Is that right?
Yes.
I think you were the one caring for him
Yes,
and
yes.
communicating with him.
Yes.
And as you understand it, he was withdrawn from all other people during that time.
As far as I know, yes. I don't know as far as conversations with his on the phone or emails or whatever, but yes, physically I.
Marlene, I'm sure you can ask you about hearing something about okay. Do you know? Have you ever had a broken rib?
No.
Have you known people that have?
Yes.
They tell you it's pretty painful.
Very.
Sustained.
Okay. Let me ask you. Box you in with the 2 weeks of medical care, but you were still coming up 25 days a month after the accident, weren't you?
Not as
while.
frequently. Not as frequently, but yes, I was still spending a lot of time up there, of course, yes.
Yeah.
I was still trying to maintain a relationship.
In the 3 months after the accident, how many days do you think you spent up here? Or
Well, I mean, there again, looking back through photos, that's the only thing I can go through. We still spent a lot of time together. In fact, I even encouraged him to come down to a birthday party where my granddaughter's in Cedar City. And so I was, like I say, looking at photos. And another one, we went to his granddaughter's graduation in Washington in June of that year after the accident. But so yes, we spent a lot of time together still. Traveling and doing what we were trying to do, but it just, it was necessity travel, not enjoyment travel.
in the 6 months after the accident, do you think you had a pretty good idea of what kind of person you had changed into? What kind of problems he was having?
Yes, I saw a big difference.
No further questions.
Mr. Egan?
No questions, Chairman.
All right. You may step down. Thank you. Why don't you just have a seat, and I'm going to excuse the jury first. So we're going to go ahead and recess at this time, and we'll reconvene tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thank you. Oh, I have to do this. I have to remind you of your obligation not to, as much as you might be tempted, not to do any of your own investigation, not to review anything on the internet or anywhere else, not to communicate with anyone about the case, including your fellow jurors. And remember that the evidence will be coming in one piece at a time, and that you need to keep an open mind until you hear all of the evidence. So thank you for your attention today. You may step down. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I mention a decorum order item?
Sure.
So paragraph 4, at the end of court, parties have withdrawn, and the bailiff gives permission to leave. Do you mind if we excuse our parties who have been here, our clients?
Not at all.
Okay, so you're free to go.
Is there anything that the lawyers need to address right now?
Nothing to play to
Yes, briefly, Your Honor. It'd be nice to get our monitors working. Is that a possibility, or did we give up?
That's up to you.
It sounds like we're giving up. Is that true?
We can try after this.
Okay. And then our witness
As I mentioned before, there is a very large monitor in the courtroom next to us, and if it's not being, I think tomorrow it'll be used by the commissioner. There is one. There's a large television monitor with an HDMI port on it.
And we put it where again? I'm sorry.
Well, you can put it where that screen is, so you could roll it back and forth as necessary.
I'd like, gentlemen, and Kristen, sorry. If you want it, or do we don't want it?
Why don't we bring it in right now, and you can take a look at it.
Okay, and then we just need the.
Steve, I don't think we.
We're abandoning it. We like that better. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, and then a witness lineup for tomorrow from the plaintiffs, please.
Witness line up for tomorrow.
Wendell Gibby in the morning, and I think it's Sam Goldstein in the afternoon, isn't it? We gave him this list quite some time ago.
So this is the list they gave.
Before and after witnesses, we hope will be here on time. And we will fill in with them as we are able. Okay?
So daughter Shay,
and Polly Gresham.
and then how about brother of son-in-law, Mark? Are those
coming
three? Are those planning to go tomorrow?
He's coming Friday.
He's coming Friday. Thank you for that. So it sounds like 4 witnesses tomorrow: Gibby, Goldstein, Shay, and Polly.
Depends on the length of how we go. We hope we'll have 4 witnesses tomorrow. One of them's flying in from Montana, and the other one, Washington. So,
But no more than those 4.
well, if we have extra time, we've told him this, and we've advised the court, we may call Gwyneth Paltrow. We don't want there to be dead time in the courtroom.
So there's a question why I'm asking, Your Honor, because what's the lineup? I don't want coyness. I wanted this.
Hey, there's no
weeks.
coyness here.
Okay,
You know?
so times.
I gave you this 3 weeks ago. You sat in my conference room. I showed you my trial plan.
Gibby, Goldstein, Shay, Polly.
And
And
a week ago, we notified you that.
Can I just get a yes from that? Like those are the
A week
4
ago,
plans.
We notified him that we could call Gwyneth Paltrow at any time if there was that time.
So there's a chance you may call her tomorrow.
Possibly. We're planning on calling her Friday. That's our plan.
Okay.
So,
But those 4. I mean, can we just get a yes?
5.
Possibly Gwyneth.
That's 5. Now,
I mean,
if we don't,
in all fairness,
Like,
Owens, if he doesn't have a witness available, then he's eating.
we're hoping to have them tomorrow morning, later, or tomorrow afternoon. Now, you know, Polly, I think is coming in the morning, but I don't know for sure.
You don't know when your witness is coming tomorrow?
I'm certain. We're hoping to have them tomorrow. That's our plan.
Disclose to the other who they're planning to call the next day. I guess it doesn't specify the order or the times. Just be prepared for those possible 5 witnesses.
Right, it's just like we don't know when Polly's coming. That seems odd.
Well, that's what we have right now. And counsel, I guess what I'm asking is that as soon as you know when a witness is arriving, that you let the other side know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Believe me, if I had a... What did Shay tell you?
She said her flight doesn't get in till 1 o'clock, so she's going to try to come right up here after that and be available early-ish afternoon.
I expect you to...
The first witness we're calling
Weather and all sorts of things.
is Goldstein in the afternoon at 1:30.
Take care of that cough, Mr. Sykes. Thank you.
I offered him a mint.
You leave me on the line.
We're now...
I'm trying to cut back to a pack a day.